Yeah, thank you guys. And today, so that's really a pleasure to see you all here. And I proposed a theme that is quite important for me. That's about managing remote and distributed team and how still to keep it productive, even in current world. So, and here just, I have prepared some kind of agenda. Of course, this is we will try to be agile in case we won't have time. Yeah, so I will try to be shorter. But still, so I don't plan to give you some information from articles that you can read in Google. That's just my idea to give you some tips and tricks and my observation from my experience. So how we did some things that help the guys in the team to stay productive, to be healthy, to be happy, and still continue to make some value for themselves as well as for the company. That's why in this agenda I have a plan just first of all to tell you about who I am, just several words in order for you to understand why I'm staying here and why I have selected this topic. Then what was the problem in the beginning with these remote and distributed teams as from my perspective. Then some tips, tricks, observations from my side. And of course, just wanted to mention that there are a lot of work in progress and still things that can be done. And this is just, I wanted to have this an option, an open discussion. So I will give you some information from my point, what was my experience, what were some decisions that helped me. And also would be great to know your suggestions, your opinions, and maybe you also have some tips and tricks and you can share. And together we can try at least to make this work better. And our teams have them. So the first is about who I am, what I'm doing here. I frankly speaking don't like a lot to talk about myself, but still, so it was necessary to put something. And just in several words, yeah, I started my career in IT practically 17 years ago, even a little bit more, as a Java developer. And then after 8 years of work in a position of lead developer, I decided to switch to product management. Then after some time to project manager and Scrum Master. So the latest 6+ years, I mostly was busy with project manager responsibilities, Scrum Mastering, and also you see a number nice pictures about certificates. So, but that was also necessary to obtain, as from my side you can see that here I have Scrum Master, Professional Scrum Master, Scaled Professional Scrum, SAFe certifications, Project Management Professional, some Kanban stuff. But it was done not only because I want to have this nice picture in my CV, but mostly because when you're dealing with some changes, when you're working with teams, you are using different techniques, different approaches, you must at least to understand the theory. I'm still thinking that in many cases you can adapt, so you can change something according to your needs, but still so it's necessary to know how it should work, at least as a base ground. That was about myself. And the next, how the story began, yeah, why it was important. I just want to say that at the base, the company I'm working currently, I'm working at EPAM as a project manager, and we are by design consider it to be a remote company. What does it mean? So at least we are operating in more than 45 countries where we have offices, and you know that the current situation in the world a little bit different, so we changed the rules a little bit. And I've even checked today in the internal system, so in which countries we represent, and it was 75. So people are really working from different places. They are not collocated. And it was the idea in the early beginning that having businesses in many countries, yeah, we should be able to propose our services and do not depend on people who are working from this location. So even if we have a client, for example, in US, and we have a nice developers somewhere in Latvia or Lithuania, that shouldn't be a problem for them to join a project, especially if they're specialists in some expertises. So it was the same in the beginning, but of course, COVID restrictions, they were some kind of catalyst. So if previously we still, it was an idea, just collocate some parts of team, for example, to have at least 3, 4, 5 locations for developers, because you still can gather them together, to coordinate them better, to be in touch, just to feel, are they working good, do they have any problems? And then with the COVID, so it was like a catalyst to understand that this is no way anymore. So we shouldn't that shouldn't be like a restriction for us to work like in several locations. We can just accept guys from all over the world, and that will work. So because like the location is not the major thing here. And as from the story, just wanted to say that there were several like baskets or wave of issues. In the beginning, for example, as far as I remember, yeah, from my experience, so when we went to home, yeah, it was like many concerns from customer sides, like what with the team, are they working? So maybe they're doing some like private things, so how we can be sure, so where is the transparency? They're not collocated in like place, they're not in office, so how to be sure? And that was always, you know, about numbers, so how to calculate, do they really work like 8 hours, maybe less? So, and of course, due to cultural differences, it wasn't so easy to understand. They're not together, they're not collocated, so you know that some people can like just think that everything is okay, and it doesn't mean that it is okay in reality. So it is different. And the second wave of issues, that's like a quite new wave, I would rather say, that was about how to prevent burnout of employees. Because when the guy is sitting for the whole day, you know, just on the kitchen, like drinking tea or coffee and coding or do some stuff, so it's not so easy to end your like work, just to close your laptop and to say that that's it. Yeah, because you have also your mobile phone and you have some teams like Zoom, Slack and whatever, and the people are still like writing to you, they're expecting emails and all other stuff. So it was like no border between your life and your work, and that was the next problem about work-life balance. So how to be sure that people, they're still like working, they're productive, they're healthy, and they can like proceed with their work, because we do not have like a separate set of people for each and every project. So they need to be alive, and they need to be happy, and they need to bring some value. So as for decisions, you know, if there are issues, there are always some options how to solve these issues. And I think that this was like not the solution, but it was like introduced many years ago, time trackers. This is like, there are a lot of opinions about time trackers, is it good or like bad, that we are like, or we ask our team members just to set up hours of their work, like 8 hours, 6 hours on communication, 2 hours of development or something like that. Time trackers, they are, even for now, I can say that in our company we have it as well. But we're trying to treat this information a little bit different. So that's not because we wanted to see that somebody worked like 8 hours a day. So we can't like measure it for sure, but at least we can analyze the information. That, for example, if there is a new team and they're working together and we see that, for example, they're spending like during the iteration more than 60% of their time on communication, maybe like there is no clear process in place. I mean, if they're clarifying something for a long time, yep.
By the time tracker, what do you mean exactly?
I mean that there are a set of systems where for each and every day, like a calendar, you can set up that, for example, today I have worked like 8 hours for this or that project.
So you don't mean automatical tracking of computer activities?
No, no, no.
No screen.
I know about that, it's automatical tracking, but in reality I can say that it was only one project in my experience where this automatical tracker was used, and it was like very hard for employees. Yeah, in reality, so it can be used because sometimes customers, they really like very strict to their time and to payments, so they're like quite budget limited, and they wanted to be sure that somebody was looking into the monitor. So that's very important. So, but that's also about perception. Yeah, so. Also, I put here like Jira and Azure DevOps activity tracking. So this item is about bug tracking systems, where you have like a set of features, tasks, and you can also put like how much time I worked with this or that task. That's not because somebody like wanted to collect this data and just to see that yes, in reality he worked like 8 hours. they just very often for understanding how the time was distributed. So if, for example, we had an assumption that the task needs 8 hours of development, and later on we will analyze that it needs 20 hours of development, probably that's for us to think that we're too ambitious in our estimations. And we need to add more in order, just predict and say our customer that, hey, this feature won't be ready in next week. We don't want to kill our developers, so it will be ready in 2 weeks. Maybe, because we're still...
You have a lot of them.
Why not?
50,000 people.
50,000 of people, but they're all working on different projects, and if we want to take care about their health, so probably in next month we will need 50,000 more, and it will be a problem to find some, because we can consume the whole market in that case. So another interesting thing that we used, that checkpoints. We all probably, or most of us are working with Scrum, with some agile methodologies, and we're using such checkpoints. They're called usually daily stand-ups, but still they're checkpoints. So where we need to check who is working on what, so what is the progress, where are the lookers, and something like that. And also there were nice interesting ideas in the beginning from one of my clients about morning and evening calls. Just to be sure, hey guys, I started to work, and at the end, okay, goodbye, so it was a productive day. So there were decisions, and I can say that probably not of them were perfect. And after some time, so there was built some kind of trust. Yeah.
Do I understand correctly that you had morning calls, then daily calls, and then evening calls? Yeah, right before sleep.
Because in the morning, so it can be combined, with daily stand-up, just in the morning, so we have aligned. But it was more important for the client at that time, just to see that, the guys are working, so they join the call, so they're okay. And at the evening, just to check that, yes, the day is over, so they were working for the whole day. So it was just just an approach or suggestion from that time to be sure that we are working. It wasn't a perfect one, and after some time they have realized that it makes nothing to do with reality and with guys' productivity, so they just join the call, hey, we're here, goodbye, and that's it. So it's not so difficult to say. And as for later on, what was decided? As I said, there were many horrible ideas about these calls and how to take care about people. Just wanted to mention that it was another interesting thing from the client when they asked the developers each and every hour to write in chat some updates. Just, are you doing something? Are you doing something? So, do you have any problems? And it wasn't so easy to explain, but it was necessary to explain for the customer that it doesn't work. You're disturbing the guys each and every time. What do you want to see? So I just coded 20 lines and that's it. So it wasn't a working approach. But it was a time in the beginning that somebody tried to invent something that can help to be sure. Are you transparent? Just to create this atmosphere of transparency. So, are you working or not? And that's why in the beginning it was important to work actively, not only within the teams but also with the clients, in order to explain that we wanted to develop accountability and ownership in our guys. So, they're not just developing some tasks, they're some kind, of product owner of some features. And when you have the team, so they are just combined, they have some common goals, and they commit to output and value. And as I've mentioned, this client, that was necessary for them to know, to be transparent and to know what the developers are doing. Do they really do something? Do they have any progress? So we have just had a talk and discussion, and so for me it was necessary to understand, so what is the output? So what do you value? Do you want to have a working solution, or do you want to be sure that everybody is answering? So because what is the value by you? And we have agreed that probably value is more important, and we have also, according to Scrum, according to Agile, we have these sessions sprint review, and we even introduced somewhere in the middle some kind of sharing session, just for client to be sure that we're doing some work in progress, And for them also to be some kind of, to have possibility to adapt in case like we're doing something, but it wasn't like a perfect requirement in the beginning. Probably they wanted to adjust, they want to give us early feedback. So, and it worked, but still, it was necessary to educate the client, and it was necessary to educate the team. Because also for guys, it was necessary to show that we don't want to control you every time, and we don't want to record your behavior for the whole day. We just wanted to be sure that as a team, you can agree to have some value, and you can agree to some output at the end, and that's it. So we can trust you. And of course, why people should do something? Yeah, why do they need that? So why it's not okay just implement your task and that's it. So I did it and goodbye. I'm not care about the value of the whole sprint, so because I was fully done with my tasks. But that was an idea, just to show them that there is some value at the end, some output. And in reality, so it is not so important how you will reach it. So you can have one great guy who will do everything, and all other guys probably can drink a tea and coffee, and if you are all happy with that, that's also fully okay. Maybe they are just doing a great environment for this one guy who is implementing everything. But still, so this is not the case when, for example, I from my perspective can say that that's interesting for me on the daily stand-up, yeah? What they did yesterday, guys, what do they plan to do today? So in reality, that's not so important for me. So of course I care about them, but not are you sure that you will code for 2 hours? So not in reality. So for me it's more interesting to see that there is some scope. Guys, I'm progressing according to the scope, so just to check more items that they have in their sprint backlog, and just to say are you happy? Do you have any obstacles? Do you need any help? So what bothers you? If there is something that is for a long time in progress, just to ask, do you need any help? So is it okay? Maybe we can split it somehow, just to be sure that you can accomplish everything in time. But still, if the team is happy, and if they're okay, if you trust each other, and you know that they committed to some output, and they say that there is no obstacle from our side, we will do everything, that's fully okay. But still, that's something that's not you have from scratch. That's something that should be educated. And when you have mature team, they know how they will do this scope, and it's up to them how they will split this task between them and who will do what. But you, of course, from my side, I can see that management can help. So that's about team motivation, that's about team engagement, that's about building trust. Because if there is no trust, of course, how you can be sure that at the end you will receive something? And even when you have a great and very productive team, and they're working like superstars, still that's important to have some kind of projection, to see how they're working, so and just to be sure that they're healthy, yeah, and at the end of this sprint, at the end of this release, at the end of this month, they will be happy and healthy, and they can proceed their work, and they can do something that can be useful not only for the company or for the client, but also will benefit them. That's why the next slide is called "That's all about motivation." From my perspective, I strongly believe that if just let us be some person, so if the person believes that this is necessary and valuable for him, he will do this thing for sure. So that's why that's firstly necessary to start from guys. I put here 3 letters. Yeah, probably need to give more context. PDP means a professional development plan. I think that probably in most companies there are some instruments, or at least one note where it can be written what is my development plan. I mean, what does it mean? It means that you have some goal, and potentially you can at least elaborate some steps that can bring you to this goal. For example, if you have a senior business analyst and he wanted to be a business analysis manager, so that is the goal. And currently we are talking not about steps or what is necessary to do, there is a goal. And then he can elaborate what can be my steps. And within the team, I always can say that there are plenty of people, and it's not always like clear what they wanted to achieve. Because very often you can hear that people are talking that we wanted to get more money, but that's not always about money. Some people wanted to be appreciated, others wanted to have like a bigger title, just like a nice one. Other people really wanna like to have money, but because they have some goal, for example, they wanted to buy like a new modern car or maybe like a house, but this is also a goal. So, and people, as I said, can't be treated as resources because people, they are more complex. You can have a guy who is like potentially, you know what he wanted to achieve, but still the people, they're people, they can change their opinion, they can change their minds, so they wanted to become, for example, tomorrow, this business analyst wants to be like lead business analyst, but in several days he wanted to become a Scrum Master, and that's also okay. So from time to time it needs to be revised, and you need like, just like, you know, to be tuned and just like to be on the same page. The next thing is about give a credit. Many people just need like this first attempt. You know, when we're like, very often when we are trying to find somebody on the project, we just like wanted to have somebody who is skilled, who has like 100 years of experience, who knows everything, and like superstar.
And work for a sandwich.
Yeah, and just for free. Yeah, so, and that's something, you know, sometimes there can be people who are quite motivated and who just needs like this first attempt, like a credit, that gives them possibility to try. That's about like some kind of succession planning. When you have somebody who wanna like new responsibilities, just give him a chance. Maybe it will be like a great opportunity for the guy. He will have this like light in their eyes, and at the same time, so he will do everything because there is a big interest in that. And also, of course, a value environment. When there is like this clear picture, what is the value, so why I'm doing that, so how I can benefit from this, that's always like a case. For example, if somebody is just asking you, so hey, can I do some Scrum ceremonies in the team because I wanna like to try, maybe like I will pass some certifications and maybe like I wanted to become a Scrum Master, that's like a good, because there is like some goal, yeah, there is a person who is ready to work for this goal. You can just give this person a credit and just like allow and see what it like will be done. And as about individual, you know, motivation, that's clear, but we're talking about team. Yeah, the one guy can't do everything, so there is always a team, and I really like the description of the team when we're talking that this is not a group of people who are working together, but a group of people who value the same. So there's some kind of family. And for each and every team, this is some kind, you know, just to understand what is success for them. So, and just to have some kind of common mindset. And as it was said previously, you know, by previous presenter, that's important to have a team culture. As well as there is an organizational culture, there is a team culture, where people value like similar things, like respect to each other, like help, support in case something is not clear or somebody can't like accomplish a task. So just important to understand that to do your own task is not enough. What is necessary to do, that's like the whole teamwork. If you like did it together, so you can have other success or failure, but only together. And about engagement, because this can be like, you know, as a base of motivation. Just several tips here. From my experience, I can say that feedback works good, and it should be a positive one. I mean, not like it was bad, it was good. So this is some kind, you know, just a suggestions. So for example, hey guy, looks great if you're trying to do some ceremonies, for example, so looks great, but you can check like, for example, Scrum Guide. There are interesting tips and tricks, and that would be interesting to know your reaction. So do you want to like to introduce something or maybe some questions here? So that's always like good to have this as feedback, and you know also to react on this in a normal way, because many people, they're not respecting feedback, they just like refuse it because it looks like, like embarrassing, but not always. So it's necessary just like to try to find some positive moments here. The interesting thing is about hackathons. I can say that it worked well on my project, on one of my projects, and thank you to customer who paid for that, because that was really a great engagement for the whole team on the whole day. So what was the problem? Yeah, the client couldn't decide what should be their decision about A/B testing for the components on their site. And they were not sure about solution. And what we have proposed to them, just to have a hackathon for one day, split team for groups, just give them a theme and possibility to introduce any solution they wanted to do. And the interesting fact that they have presented their solutions, they have presented how it can benefit to the client, why it is useful, so how it can be scalable for the future. And it was really great because there were introduced 4 solutions, and in reality one of them was implemented. It was fun for the team because it wasn't an ordinary user story that was refined hundreds of times and discussed from implementation point of view. That was just for them possibility to find a concept. So of course during one day it wasn't possible to implement everything, but just to find the concept, propose it, tell the customer how it can benefit from that, and it worked really great. And appreciation, of course, so we all like people, and when somebody just can say you that it was great, it was good, even if probably you're not at the end of your way, so this is just a good trend. So just it makes sense to say thank you, or it was great, so it's a good progress. And last but not least, bonuses, so we all know about that. So as for team building activities, I like this a lot. Of course, my current team is distributed around of 10 countries. They're really different guys in 10 different countries, and I can't have them for team building face-to-face.
Why?
Because because of different restrictions. So as it is here said, borders. So that for each and every guy it's necessary to buy tickets, and they have their families. That's all about children, how to stay them at home, so how to visit some countries. And of course, this is a COVID. This is still with us. Nothing new here. And it was necessary to understand how we can collaborate, how we can have something online, because this is the reality. And from my perspective, I can say that I like some team building activities with the team, because you need somehow, just to have this face-to-face, to ask how you're doing, not only which tasks are you doing today, what is your progress, but just to say, so we're all people, so with our interests, and just to spend some time together. So I can say what I have tried, and that really worked quite good. That was about Kahoot quizzes. I think this is for free. And this is easy to do. So I've just collected different facts personally from each and other guy, not only in my team, but also from client side. Just meet them, yeah, and it was funny because we need to guess these facts about whom, so it was funny and still for free. Another one solution was digest about members. When you have guys who are from different countries, they have different cultures, you don't know them exactly, maybe they turn their camera on, maybe they're too shy, but you don't know exactly who they are, so what is the special things with them. And what I did, it was a digest. Each and every week I send an information with an interview about 3 guys from our team, funny questions about the interesting facts from their lives, some photos, the favorite dishes, the favorite places to visit. And it was really great because then during our stand-up, so they have tried to ask some questions. Oh, did you really visit Australia? So what was fun in that? And they have tried also to elaborate, to ask more questions about some facts. And it was some kind of, they know each other closer, even without these face-to-face interactions. contests and photo collages are very similar to that. You know, when you have like this, like contests like the photo on your working place. And there were many fun photos, like somebody with laptop on tractor, yeah, somebody just like on the kitchen, and many children around, because there is no way to work and somehow avoid that. So it was also funny, a lot of comments from guys, and you know, it is just like 5 minutes from your working time, but it's like a great motivator. Like, hey guys, we're all people, so we're not just a working machines. Online games. By the way, I have tried a month ago Mafia online with my team. It's really great. So it is funny. So we have used Teams just for collaboration, to see each other, to discuss, and we have used mafia.gg. So there are plenty other stuff that you can use as a tool set, but it is really like fun and for free. Of course, the important thing to mention that also work, this is e-gifts. From my experience, I can say that e-gifts from Amazon are working quite good. So this is just like $50 per person, but that's like, you know, this is appreciation. This is some kind to show that you care. And this is also like a good opportunity for guys just to order something for themselves by their own. And when you're having this for Amazon.com, there is no difference that people are in 10 or 20 countries, so they can order something for themselves. Also, I put here like t-shirts, online bars, but this works when you have like people more collocated. So it is not a way when you have people from different countries, for example, in 10 or 15 countries, because when I have tried like to establish t-shirts delivery, it was horrible because, you know, very often the shipping price, it was much higher than t-shirt itself. This is about work-life balance and why it is important. I just wanted to say that this is not just an advice that, guys, if you're sick, just like spend several days at home. Even taking into account that there is online possibility to work. Just necessary to have some time, you know, to refresh, to recover. And that's important to see. If you have, and you see that somebody needs this time, so it's like easier to give this time to recover. And about working hours, that's an important part to mention, because I'm not sure about you, but previously very often I saw that I have messages on 10 p.m. or even at night when somebody like wrote to you that I finished verification for that story, and you think that's fine, so we are lucky. But that's not important to do. So try like, you know, to take care about working hours. When I see these messages, so I frankly speaking against of that, so I won't discuss any working items after my working items, my working hours. I just like, if you wanna, we can discuss something pleasant, cinema, like some team building activities, something pleasant for us, but not working items. And just wanted to mention that this is not, you know, only an advice. Advice is good, but it's more important when you have some kind of tool set. Yeah, when there is some possibility somehow, you know, to recharge people. I think that there are plenty of things for now, you know, like online yoga or something like that. For example, in our company, there is even well-being academy. I'll be honest, I never visited it, but I think that's an important thing. So, because I saw that there were titles about what to do when you're working from home and like you have children, so what to do with them, so maybe some activities for them, maybe how to stay productive, how to find your own place, and I think that this is really very helpful. So, and last but not least, wanted to mention here, that's about clear daily working routines rules. That's about defined tool set, not like hundreds of different sites, not like a lot of things where it's possible to find information, but just define, and define priorities. I just read not so long ago about the fact from Microsoft they're collecting some data about our meetings that we have in Teams, and just it was stated that more than 40% of people, they are multitasking and they have more than one meeting at the same time. So, how do you think they care about meeting and that's the topic about what is discussed? So that's really something horrible. Because when you are trying to do many things, so very often you won't finish anything from that. In the best case, you will finish something and you will start many other things, but probably you will lose your focus. That's why that's good to have some defined priorities. That's easy. I mean that not so easy probably for each and every person, but at least we can try. For example, from my side I can say that I'm using some kind of backlog for the things that I need to do for the day. Yeah. Previously I did everything just in notebook, so currently I have OneNote. I'm really trying to do that, but I'm keen of writing something on the paper because I'm still using this notebook. So, and here I have some backlog of items that I need to do. I'm just like moving them and just crossing something that I did, and it's like helps me to understand that at one time I can do one thing. But potentially maybe I won't be able to finish everything, but at least I will finish something. And here it's necessary not to procrastinate and to select something that necessarily needs to be done. So, and as the last one here, yeah, as I mentioned, clarity is really key. And the next steps in this area, I found an interesting term about lifelong learning. That's something like we're trying to learn something, but probably in the current world, so you need like to learn for the whole of your life. You're just learning, you're just like trying something new. And for that, really it's good to share experience. Because I have my experience from my teams, so from projects where I participated, but I'm sure that you have completely different experience and you can give some tips and tricks. And that's why feedback is always welcome. So really, what would be great to know, that's like your ideas on this topic. Maybe you have some suggestions. So I have a good team and I would be proud to try something new with them. Thank you guys, and just stay productive and take care about yourself and your teams.
So we have time, I don't know, 5 minutes, maybe 10 for questions.
Yes, please.
So how do you finally measure productivity?
Sorry.
How do you measure the productivity at the end?
As I said, as from my side, I do not measure activities, I'm measuring impact. So that means that for each and every client it can be different. For one, it can be like a product completed, yeah. So, and we're just showing that the features were implemented. So for other clients, that's important, like to do some service with some SLAs, for example, and we can show some metrics like, you know, that SLAs were achieved, but it makes nothing to do like with measuring activities or time of work. Yep.
How do you convince clients to pay for hackathon?
That was quite interesting clients. So they were from luxury industry, and in reality they were like not very limited in budget. But the most interesting idea for them was like to get new ideas from engineers. And the convincement was quite easy. So if you wanted to get more ideas, you know, where as an engineering company we have many like competencies, many ideas, but we need some time for this art, for brainstorming. And when we are giving this freedom for the team, just saying we do not expect tasks to be done, just like brainstorm, find interesting solution, and try like to convince us that this is one like is the best one. And that's, you know, some kind of contest for them just to show that they're best engineers, they have better ideas than the other team.
So in the end, the client was satisfied?
Yeah. So the idea were really interesting, and as I mentioned, one idea was even implemented.
Actually, the client had a lot of money, so you don't care about that.
You know, that's like the question in which things you are ready to invest. Any other questions? Yep.
What about the informal communication on a daily basis, besides the stand-ups and morning evening check-ins? Did you do some actions to support this informal communication between team members?
Yeah, I think that it is really quite important. And as for my side, I can say that currently I have not so big team, so that's about 30 guys, plus some dedicated team, but I can say that I know about each and every of them, who has problems with child in kindergarten, who has mother that is ill, and when you know some information from guys, you know, you can like break this ice. So you can just like ask, how are you today? So do you need maybe, because you know, we're all people, and even in current environment, there can be some situation when somebody needs like to get several hours off, yeah, in the middle of the day. Yeah, we have some meetings, but it's necessary. We're all people, and you know, the children can be sick, so it's necessary to have this time. And it's always like good to treat people as people. If there is a trust, I know that, for example, my guys, if they need to spend some time during the day to take care about their children, for example, or loved ones, so I know that they will like to cover this time, they will finish some tasks because there is trust between us. And I'm trying to establish the same environment between client and the team, because frankly, using that's like a great situation when your team, they just like understand the client, for example, product owner, as just a part of their team. The same guy, so who is also taking care about the same values. That's wanted to say that informal communication is good, but still, you know, like there are some values, there are some cultural differences. Here it can be a little bit sensitive, so it's necessary to take care what can be okay for one culture, maybe not so great for another one. Just to have, you know, some kind of borders here.
Okay, seems that